and it's time for my daily live stream. I'm here with my good friend Natalia. Say hello.
Hi everyone.
Very excited because I haven't seen you in so long.
I know.
So I'm so excited to be here, and I'm happy to share expertise. So I do a daily live stream at the Power Connection channel. The broadcast is usually 8:45 a.m. Although today I'm a little bit late because it took me a while to get here in the rain, and it was just a little bit crazy parking. But we're all set up, and we're excited to actually talk to you all about a really interesting topic because it's based on her expertise. So every Wednesday I do a Wisdom Wednesday interview with some expert in their field. And so Natalia is a breakup coach, and we're going to talk about how divorce and breakups affect your career. Now, if you're joining us, be sure to please comment below, let us know where you're from. Are you from Australia, Europe, Africa, South America, North America? Ask questions, bring lots of questions, anything about how breakups and divorce might affect careers, whether it's for you or for your friends. And it's just start engaging the people there. If you like things, like, comment, tag people. Let's get people part of the conversation. Share on your own page. I'd be happy to do that. But let me first start out by maybe telling Natalia kind of introduce herself, and we'll go from there.
So hi everyone. Yes, I'm Natalia Juarez, and this is Dexter, our 5-month-old toy poodle.
And I'm her uncle, so there you go.
Puppy uncle.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm a breakup coach and dating strategist. So I help people through the entire spectrum of breakups, with recovery, initiating a breakup, helping people to recouple, so getting back together, also issues of infidelity, and then getting back out there after a big breakup or divorce.
Wow, okay. And why don't you talk a bit about how we met and how you came to become this, because it's a very interesting story and journey, I think.
So quickly, what happened was about, 6 years ago, I had just started this business, and someone told me that I needed to start working and thinking about my personal brand. And Bobby's conference was a couple weeks later, so I went. I went alone at the time, and I just kind of listened, and I absolutely loved Bobby's message of using social media for good. Because, I think a lot of people can think of social media in a really negative way, but I thought I can totally get behind this philosophy.
Right.
So that's what I want to do. I want to help people by healing their broken hearts and growing through that experience.
Awesome. And people are already saying hello. There's Tony from Australia, Ricardo saying hi, Belinda's here, Tony's from the USA, Danny says hi, I'm from Toronto, don't tell my wife I'm watching this. Just because, that's okay. You know what? It's not just because you're watching this broadcast doesn't mean that you're having trouble. It means maybe you help other people or just to learn from your previous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have loved ones, friends, other people go through this, and that's actually a part of the topic today, is how we don't really talk about this, and we just kind of what a taboo topic it can be for something that's so incredibly common. Yeah,
so and we have someone from Switzerland's here, and then Guy from Ottawa's here. You tagged a bunch of people, so we're getting lots of people joining the call. Very happy people for the topic of divorce in your career. Okay, so
exactly.
But let's get into it. Okay, so why don't you start by kind of diving into the first thing that comes to your mind in terms of how does divorce and breakups affect your career, and then I might ask some follow-up questions, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, in so many different ways, it can help you have it's such a painful emotional experience. You can have trouble focusing at work, intrusive thoughts, trouble sleeping, eating, just feeling really alone, isolated. It greatly impacts productivity at work.
And let's dive deeper in that, because so someone's going through a divorce or a breakup. How is that affecting them emotionally and all that kind of stuff? And and how does that then translate? So tell me about how what that feels like. Because you've been through it.
I have been through it. I went through a major broken engagement, and just as I was turning 30, and I was actually starting my own business. At the time I had a daycare, and my relationship ended one day, my whole life changed, and the next day I had to go to work. So I had to compartmentalize those emotions, but I believe breakups and divorce is a form of grief. I call it romantic grief, so it has all of those elements of sadness, anger, bargaining, just so much tremendous fear, in addition to a lot of social shame and often rejection and a sense of failure.
Right. And I think failure is something that a lot of people in the workplace, is not really accepted, or we feel bad about it, we feel embarrassed, or there's shame and humility around it. Whether you feel, whether you fail at work or fail in a relationship, you don't want to talk about it. I think that's what becomes a taboo subject.
Yeah, it can seem so unprofessional to talk about your personal life at work, and yet it 100% impacts your ability to work well And when your relationship is going well, you just bring all of that energy to work.
And you know what's interesting? I actually read a study that said that in 1984, which is a long time ago, the average person had 3 really close confidants, right? So that's how many they had, 3 close confidants. And now, and actually not long, actually 10, 15 years ago, the average number of close confidants people had was 0. And 25% of people had 0 friends that they felt they could be confidants to talk about whatever they wanted, share their deepest feelings.
Yeah.
So that's actually a large, and so a lot of people may have work colleagues that they don't feel comfortable talking about, and that's another big challenge too, I think.
Yeah, because recovery, there's the internal piece. There are definitely things that you need to work through, and there are a lot of ways that you can do that, but we also need to process externally by talking to people. Like we need that connection piece.
Right, and a few people are saying hello, and one person said, first time there's a dog in Bobby's live stream. New first. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Dexter. That's good. And then what's good, Bobby, is that the Canada Olympic t-shirt. Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm happy to wear the Canada t-shirt. Time heals all wounds. That's true.
Yes and no.
Okay, tell us why.
People, if you're just going to rely on time, it's going to take you 2-3 times as long. Yeah. I think that there are so many strategies that you can do. Things like, self-care, working through it, talking to a professional, and all of that can accelerate the process of healing. And you also need to reflect back and extract a lot of the lessons and what can you learn so that you can grow through it. And that's why I believe if you do all of that, then this breakup, all of a sudden, it's also rethinking what breakups are. Because someone mentioned, that we're so happy for a difficult topic. And yet, as painful as it can be one of the greatest things that ever happened to you.
Right. Now, what about, let's say you have an amicable split up. So let's say you're married to somebody and you divorce after 20 years, but it's amicable and friendly. Do people still need to grieve, or?
Of course.
So talk about that. I'm curious.
I mean that kind of recovery is different because it's really helpful that you're kind of both going through that and you can talk about it. Ideally, that's the way you would do it. Very often it doesn't happen that way because people are on such different pages, but there's still a loss. You're still your life is still changing, and even if you were the one who initiated the split, you're still going to have a lot of those emotions, and people often don't give sympathy to that person. They just think of the person who's being left.
Right. Okay. Now, if you're just joining us again, we're talking about how divorce and breakups affect your career, because again, they are not separate things. They are completely integrated in your life. So it's important for us to have this discussion. I'm here with Natalia Juarez, who is a breakup coach and specialist. And if you have questions, again, let us know what your questions are around breakups and divorce and careers and how they mix back and forth. And hey, Wayne, people are saying hello, which is great. So comment below, like, heart, light bulb, and share us on your page. Tag people, and let's get into the conversation. Let's assume that it's a pretty tough breakup. Okay, what are some things people can do when it comes to how do we now handle it? How do we handle this? What are things they can do?
Okay.
To manage.
Well, if possible, especially at the beginning, maybe take a couple of days off. Like the same way you would do if someone in your life, like someone died, you would take a couple of days off. Now, sometimes that's not possible, and I get it. Something else you could do would be to talk to a superior, maybe just let them know that you're going through a difficult personal time, just so that they know, but that just to have a little bit of transparency around that. I mean, you don't have to go into the details, and very often don't, because sometimes when people start talking, they just don't know when to stop. So keep it contained, keep it professional, but you can acknowledge that, I'm a human. I'm going through something really difficult in my personal life.
And I think it's really important to actually, tell your manager that, listen, I'm here at work, but I want to let you know that I'm going through a divorce, and it's definitely affecting me.
And people will often have sympathy for that.
Yeah.
Or they might offer resources, I also went through one, or maybe they had someone close to them and they can offer resources. Like that is something. I offer personal coaching, yes, one-on-one, but also on my site, I also have links where it's like, here are some really great books or really great articles, because I know when I was going through it, I think it's terrible that here I am in this horrible state, and now I have to go looking for help, and I don't even know where to start.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing to think about too is if you tell, let's say HR, you tell your manager, and if they're not supportive, right, that's a problem. if they're not supportive of you going through grief of losing a loved one, particularly a really close relative, or going through a divorce, which is extremely, extremely emotional, the fact if that tells you something, then maybe you may want to stick around, because I think most and again, most people know I'm not a super fan of corporations, but I will say that when you do actually share that vulnerability, 90% of them will say, yeah, we want to support you.
Yes.
And they'll try. So I think that's important.
Yeah, and take advantage of your benefits if you have access to like a therapist.
Right.
Most importantly, it's important to find the right person, whether it's a coach or a therapist. I don't think any one modality is the one that is like the one.
Right. For sure. Everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
And do you? There's actually there's a question here. How about that? So, by Sajid Kumar, what do people do when their breakup affects their professional life and they don't trust people in the workforce? How does a company ask the person to take help? That's a tough one.
Okay, so when you just don't trust people at work?
Yeah.
Okay, then absolutely. If you don't trust people at work, then yes, keep it contained, keep it to yourself. Just try to do what you can to focus on work during the day, and then in the evenings or on your free time, that's when you can do all of the other things of talking with like people that you do trust, with a professional. Mindfulness, exercise absolutely really helps, because you really taking care of your physical body while your emotional body is going through this is really important to support you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that
Yes.
if you take, a better you is a better everything else. So you have to take care of yourself, and if your work is not there to support you, you still have to find other ways to support yourself through other means. So I think
And it's not all heavy, like therapy and just like all the grief work. It's also doing things that bring you joy.
Right.
So in the absence of this person and this relationship, you can do. Is there a hobby that you've been wanting to take up? Is there I've had people take up dance, gardening, start a book.
Mm-hmm.
There can be so much tremendous energy that comes in that through that. I call it breakup energy.
Breakup energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I learned tango. That was I poured my heart into that.
Really, that's that.
Yes.
It was. Well, I didn't know that.
That was
okay.
the catalyst.
Wow. And again, like I have no idea because I've never actually broken up with anybody. So if I went through this, I would be a mess. But
but your heart's probably also been broken in other ways.
Sure.
And it could be. So there are breakups and divorce, but it also what we're really talking about here is your heart being broken.
Right.
And because a lot of these strategies and a lot of these emotions would also happen, say, if you lost a really good friend.
Yeah. Although I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing the different things that I'm going through my life,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time I'm also very transparent. I tell people here's what's going on, so
Yeah.
I let people know, and I find people are far more empathetic and nurturing, supportive than I actually need. I'm like, oh, you guys, that's okay, I'm fine. Like, no, they're like, no, we can take a break. We don't have to do that. No, I'm good. Let's do this. I actually want to work because I want to get my mind off things, right?
It can be a really healthy distraction.
Yeah, exactly.
But sometimes it's like I just need to let you know this is kind of where I'm at, and it doesn't necessarily need to impact work, but it's just kind of helpful to let people know this is what's going on for me.
Yeah. Now, another question I have, and someone from U.S. Arizona, great topic, something that 50% of marriages will go through. Yeah, true. And again, this is not just about marriage. It's about, if you're in a relationship with somebody, common law, or even your boyfriend, girlfriend of 5
Yes.
years and you break up, it's still going to affect you tremendously, right? Because you're sharing your life with that person for 5 years, right?
And it is such a skill set to know how to heal your heart. Because statistically, maybe not you, but most people will go through a number, like 2 to 3, sometimes more long-term relationships in their life.
Right.
So knowing how to, there's so much emphasis on getting into a relationship, but there's not much on like how do you gracefully end something.
Right.
Whether you are on the receiving end, and there's a lot more resources there, but even on how you initiate it, like there is a way to break up with a person, or initiate a divorce in a way that is compassionate and has there's less harm.
Now, there's some people who are going to say, well, you know what? I'm fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Definitely.
No, they say that.
Yes.
But what would be some indicators at work that
They're not fine?
That they're not fine. Yeah.
Oh, but it's like a weed. It will find a way to express itself. Maybe they're going to be a little bit like edgier at work. It is. Although that can seem I'm being more professional because I'm just stuffing it down and not talking about it. That's not necessarily the healthiest either.
Right.
So internally, it will find a way to express itself,
Yeah.
and even also just internal stress.
No, but do you think it's gonna be like? Is it gonna be like feeling sick or be snappy at people? Like what kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it might be some edginess.
Okay.
And yeah, and also in the quality of the work, even if they are being,
And
looking like they're.
now that I think about it, it might be different for different people. Some people might become more withdrawn. Like so, for me, I'm a flaming
Yes.
extrovert, right? So maybe if I was going through this, I'd be like withdrawn, not talking to me. Like Bobby, you're so quiet. What's going on? People might say that.
Yes.
Right. Okay, I understand that. That's cool. And again, there's a lot of people joining the stream here, which is great. That's fantastic. So I'm glad people are here. Now, again, if you want to have any questions about dealing with breakup, again, it's a really taboo topic. People are sensitive about it. I totally get that. But it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to learn for yourself or for your friends. And then so that's why I wanted to get this topic going with Natalia.
And you know what we should do is we should open it up. If you want to send us a private message with a question, we could always do a follow-up, because I found that people often don't want to put it out there.
Right.
And like this is where through talking about it, it's going to be less shameful, less of a taboo topic. And for something that happens so often, it's shocking and unfortunate that there aren't that many resources. And yet, especially when there are so many great resources and strategies and things to do, like breakup recovery is actually, or like heartbreak recovery is actually quite simple, but it's not easy and it takes time, and people focus so much on the short term, like, that the pain of it all, and yet what's on the other side can be tremendous.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, and while we're here, maybe it'd be a good idea to talk about this a little bit more deeply, in the sense that can you? I mean, obviously, you can't name clients, but I mean, can you talk about some situations that you tried to handle that were most challenging when it comes to breakups? Like, what are some of the biggest challenges you had to kind of help people deal with?
Logistics is a big part.
Really?
If people are living together.
Okay.
I mean,
right.
children is a whole other. That is a whole other topic,
okay.
Because now this is a person who you need to have a relationship with ongoing.
The rest of your life, that's right. Yeah, that is hard. You can't just break up completely, eh?
No.
Yeah.
So you're going to have all of those emotions up front. Like, you may never want to see this person again, but you're going to have to find a way to go past it. And it doesn't have to happen right away. Like, this can take time. It can take over a year, and that's okay. I mean, life is short, but life is long.
Okay. There you go. Exactly.
Yes.
I think for me, like, and I have a lot of friends who are going through these things, and one of the things I find really interesting is that a lot of people, and just this is a general thing of breakups, is that a lot of my friends have gotten into relationships young at an early age, or they didn't really take time to ask those really important questions about how they wanted to live their lives.
Yeah.
And most of the time when they finally break up, it was 5 years happening, but they didn't do anything for 5 years. It was just miserable for 5 years, or sometimes even 10 years. Like, I had one friend where she basically said, it was basically 10 years of them never ever talking to each other or touching each other or anything. It was crazy. What takes so long? I don't understand that.
Bobby, that will have to be another topic, because
I want to talk about it now.
There's the theory of change,
topic.
sunk cost fallacy. People sometimes just don't know how to get out of something.
What is cost fallacy?
Sunk cost fallacy.
Okay.
Like, I've just invested so much in this relationship, of these years, I can't start over.
Right.
And like the fear of starting over, and especially, like, I work with a lot of people who say in their like late 30s, 40s, and maybe they got together with someone in their during their university college years.
Right.
And it's like, I never really dated. And the modern dating world is just so different. So there's all of that fear. But actually, I mean, for all the talk about how difficult it is, yes, it's never been harder. It's also never been easier. I think that mindset is very, very important. As you know, I'm very positive about all of this, and not to sugarcoat it or say that it's because it's easy. No, it's difficult, but it's so rewarding in the end. And also, like, when I want to go back to when you asked about what makes it difficult. Yes, the logistics, children living together, that can be hard. Like, the number of times I talk to people of, okay, like, where can you move to? Like, what are your options?
Totally.
Short-term housing, that's something that I've gotten kind of involved in. But that aside, like, the logistics, it's also the mindset piece. When someone is stuck in negativity or just like victimhood, like, this was done to me, that is such a difficult energy to work with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, this is happening, so we need to shift that.
Right.
Even if, they left me, and like their life is so great, and
exactly.
they're, like, now, I don't know, they're like with someone, and there's just so much resentment that way. You need to bring that back to yourself. And yes, maybe it's looking that way for them now, but you know what? It doesn't matter. You need to focus on yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree. It just reminded me of a story. I have another friend. I have a lot. Funny enough. I tried to do some videos with Natalia because a lot of people come to me for breakup advice.
Right.
Because I know about relationships and people and things like that. And so another friend, she's struggling, but she's living with this person like for the last 8 months. And I'm like, you need to get out. Like either create some distance because it's causing so much pain and anguish for her. And while he's dating somebody else. And I'm like... Oh yeah, it's just awful. I'm like, like either you get him out of your house or you find some other space because it was just a little. And what's happening is I follow up a couple of times and nothing's happening. Like it's just, and this is like 6 months later, nothing's happening. And now I don't want to be like so I don't want to be like that friend who's like you bugging them and making them feel bad. But I check in every couple of months. But I'm like how's it going But they don't want to talk about it.
People need to get to that point. And sometimes you just kind of mirror it back, but people will have their own timeline. There's obviously some sort of payoff for her. Like, I love just being so black and white with people. And it's not judgment. It's just like, what are you doing? And then creating a plan of action. And there's obviously something underlying there for her. But it's absolutely not serving her.
Yeah, and again, the reason I love what you're doing, and because this topic really means a lot to me, because I have a lot of friends who talk to me about stuff. I see so many people going through such heartbreak, and it just breaks my heart that they're struggling to get over or leave like really horrible partners. That's another big thing. Like I see them with horrible partners that treat them like terribly. They're total narcissists, and they can't let go. And then the other ones, when they're struggling then they leave, they're lonely, and how they find someone, how they find that, and they're struggling. And I want to help them, and I want to try to help people. I love love, right? So I want to help people find the love, and I think it's one of the biggest, most important things I think we can try to amend in our lives, right? So my heart goes out to those people who do that kind of stuff. Right.
Who stay in toxic relationships?
Yeah, and struggle to find the next thing. Like both of them really they break my heart.
See, and I find that, and that language is interesting. People who struggle to find love. Well, I also think I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing to help yourself? And even there is the part of like going out there and looking for someone, but then there's also like, what are you doing to become dateable and attractive and make your life interesting so that when you do get those high quality dates, you just shine through.
Right.
So there's a lot to lead. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to do. You can really empower yourself in like all of these stages, but it's about reframing it, rethinking it.
Okay, cool. So if anyone has any other questions about breakups and divorce and how it affects your career and how to manage that, please let us know below. I'm talking with Natalia Juarez, who is a breakup coach, and it's really a great topic because normally for my Wisdom Wednesdays I don't usually have topics that are so far outside what I talk about. I mean, it fits with Power Connection, which is what this channel is called.
Yeah.
I want to go into another, so definitely ask your questions or comment below or talk to people that are...
Or message us privately.
Message privately if you don't have a public question you want to ask about, or ask for a friend. I have a friend who's going through this, and we know it's you, but it's fine. Just say you're asking for a friend. One of the things I wanted to ask is, so now you've dealt with the breakup, you're trying to... So how do you get back into the game? How do you then get back into, when you know you're ready, how do you get back in the game? What are some of the things you can do? And then maybe somehow see if we can relate that to your work.
So dating after a big breakup or divorce, people often wonder, how long should I wait? Well, it kind of depends. Like, it totally depends. There's no equation to figure this out. But when you feel ready, sometimes getting out there and meeting people is a part of the healing process. Yeah. Just seeing like who else is out there, but you can keep that dating casual, and just kind of know where you're at. But there is no shame in getting out there and having some light dating. Okay. And we're wired for love, so you're at the same time that
wired for love.
Yes, at the same time that you're going to have this time for healing, you're at the same time in parallel going to have this desire for connection. So you also need to be careful that you don't rush into something to fill that gap.
Sure.
And there are so many great resources, books, all that. Like we're never taught how to date. one of the biggest things, and I know we've talked about this before, is knowing what you want, like having some sort of a list. We did a video years ago, which we should update, but on like having that sort of list. The same way, if you were looking for a job, you would get really, really clear on what you want. It's the same thing in love. Instead of just kind of going out there and having some like wishful thinking.
Right.
So that it can be backwards designed, so that you know, instead of just letting your attraction drive you.
Okay. Yeah, this is great stuff.
Yes.
I love that you're sharing all those great nuggets of wisdom for people, and I think people will now, if before we even end off, people again, if you have more questions, let us know. But what are some ways to reach out, since you're a good resource? How can they reach out to you?
So my website is betterbreakups.com. Sorry, my voice.
That's okay.
betterbreakups.com. And yes, I specialize in breakups, divorce, that entire spectrum, and then dating strategies. So creating dating plans for whatever it is that you want. You're allowed to want what you want. In addition to my one-on-one coaching, I also, on my website, just have a lot of great resources. I have a library where I share things. I really want to help people in this area.
Yeah, and she was recently on Good Morning America, which was
Yes.
really cool. Twice, that's the second time. Right?
Yeah.
That was like last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, last month.
That's awesome. So, yeah, and what were you talking about there?
I was talking about things to ask yourself before you get married.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm already married, so what should I have asked?
Well, I think you got it right.
Did I get it right? Okay. I picked the right person.
Yes.
It's going well.
Yes.
It's going well. Okay, cool. Well, if there aren't any more questions, that's fine. I mean, thank you so much for everyone for joining us. If you like what you're